Hey guys, this is Rachel here with the Alpha Build and Avacyn Guardian Angel. Feeling just a little under the weather right now. I think I caught something from a coworker or something like that. So we're gonna try and take care of business this weekend. Do all the video things, and this was not a great set for this to happen because Urza's Saga was an enormous set. In fact, it was so big that I actually had to make a copy and make a whole new deck list over here. You can see over here that I have this listed as Avacyn Urza's Reboot. And then we've got like the Exodus stuff over here, where there's like 125 cards in the deck because there's just so many things that I wanted to, try out. Like there's in the Angelic Chorus and all that. Temporal Aperture, a lot of really cool stuff, and I needed to redo the why it completely messed up all my sorting. Yeah, it's kind of just how today's been for this. So we're gonna go ahead and go right into it. It is kind of a mini reboot in the sense that we had a lot of cards, so we kind of had to examine, what cards we really did need, what cards we could actually find room, what cards were being superfluous and all that. So went ahead, just copy and pasted the deck, and just started cutting everything that wasn't strictly necessary by my definition. Like we kept the mana rocks and the searchers and the top tier removal. You'll notice that Respite is no longer here, because there were just some targets that it needed to hit, but it wasn't hitting. So that just got axed for some other stuff. And then after I managed to get to the 100 card mark, then I just started putting pet cards and cards I wanted to see back in the deck, and see if we can find room for them, like the Soul Warden. I'm not done with Soul Warden; she can hang around. The Flickering Ward is part of our Wombo combo, so that had to go back in because that was in her evasion. But we don't have the Kith can armor anymore because might as well just give them protection from a color. Oh boy. So going on to the add-ins that we have right now, let's go ahead and start with the lands, since that's the order that I have this listed out in. First one's going to be Blasted Landscape and Drifting Meadow. They're basically the same thing. Drifting Meadow makes a white, Blasted Landscape just makes it colorless. But they both cycle away for 2 mana, which is really big because we don't want to get into those lands top deck. So if we see one of these late game, we at least have the chance to draw a new card. And you see them early game, we shouldn't hesitate to play these out as lands. We'll play everything else in case we just draw into more lands, and then we can feel free to cycle these away. But if you need to play a land, you need to actually play these as lands, as bad as it might seem sometimes. So the fact that we have 2 of them, we have a colorless option, is alright. Then this is also the Urza Saga block, so we finally get access to a much more powerful land. We get Sarah's Sanctum, which adds a white to our mana pool for each enchantment we control. And that doesn't include things like the pacifism that we are still running. Did end up taking out the Sarah's Bestiary. But, we're moving towards a more enchantment-heavy base, I think. So the Sarah's Sanctum might not be the most powerful right now, but as long as it's making at least 2 to 3 mana, it'll be strictly better than any land that we could possibly be running. So that's very exciting as we move forward to the future. We get access to much more powerful enchantments. Remember, the Urza block is in fact actually an enchantment matters block, especially for white. So we're looking forward to that getting stronger. We can also go ahead and start looking at some of the other cool cards we got here, like Humble, which is a 2-mana instant. Until end of turn, target creature loses all abilities and has base power 1. There's basic power and toughness 0/1. So this doesn't have split second, so it's not quite as good as like sudden spoiling, but it is still a 2-mana instant in white that can do that, and it's really cool to go ahead and tell the Ulamog, yeah, no, you're no longer a thing, or just anything like that. Get rid of something's indestructibility, get rid of all their problematic effects. Someone tries to combo out and that creature has a trigger, then you can go ahead and use the Humble to try and just stop that loop, which is really huge. We've got Intrepid Hero, which is actually one of my favorite cards. It's a 3-mana 1/1, and it says that she can tap the short target creature power of 4 or greater. So it's like Respite, only it's redoable. having to tap isn't that great, but the Intrepid Hero just pulls a lot of work, I find sometimes. You have people dropping like really big values, and you have people that don't want to, that would actually just stop playing their stuff because they don't want the Intrepid Hero to lop their Titan's head off. Although if it's Infernal Titan, then if it's Infernal Titan or a Frost Titan, then yeah, they actually mess with the hero a little bit. But any of the other Titans, then hero just lops their head off. We've got Monk Realist. When Monk Realist enters the battlefield, destroy target enchantment. It's a 2-mana version of our Cloud Chaser Eager, which also just destroys the enchantment. I like having 2 of them right now. The Cloud Chaser has the upside of being a flyer, but the Monk Realist does come down a lot cheaper, and it is a buy. So we'll go ahead and see which one ends up sticking around, because I do feel like we have enough enchantment removal now that we can go ahead and axe one of these some point in the future. Speaking of enchantment removal, we've also got Clear, which is a 2-mana instant that destroys an enchantment, but it has the option to cycle away for 2 mana. So always want to go ahead and try out cycling cards if we can, because cycling is a very good mechanic. It's very powerful to be able to say, you know what, I don't need this card right now. Let's go ahead and try and get another card, because any card in the deck is going to be better than what this card is now. So you have Monk Realist, and then you have Monk Idealist. When it enters the field, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's going to regrow any of our enchantments, which we have some good targets for that people would want to get rid of, like the Land Tax, the Flickering Ward. Let's see, there's the Open Legion of the Past. Let's see, I think we're running a little lighter on the enchantments now that we've kind of rebooted the deck just a little bit. Alright then. Soul Sculptor is a really cool piece of tech. It's a 3-mana 1/1, but it says for 2 mana tap, target creature becomes an enchantment and loses all abilities until a player casts a creature spell. I'm interested in seeing how this works out, because that could actually work out pretty well. The fact that it has to tap in order to do that slows it down a lot. But being able to just turn stuff into enchantments is pretty cool. It's also got the upside of being able to do that to save Avacyn until someone casts a creature spell. Noticeably, we're not playing the Talos' Coffin right now. It's one of those things where it's just one of those things where I wanted to try out some other stuff. And just one of the cards that became expendable when you're doing your massive purge of, okay, what's strictly necessary to keep the deck going. Talos' Coffin is a really cool piece of tech, but we're just trying out other stuff right now. I keep going down to Worn Power Stone. It's a 3-mana artifact that comes into play tapped. It makes 2 mana. It's actually a very staple-y card. It's very common to see these in Commander decks, because it does come down at a sweet spot. It comes down at turn 3, turn 1, turn 2, depending on what other rocks you get. It helps ramp you up to turn 6 very nicely. You've got 5 mana, then you play a lane, that's 6. Very nice. Next one we have is a pretty cool card, Worship. It's a 4-mana enchantment that says, if you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. So, kind of another take on the whole, we're trying to not die, so we're trying to stay in the game long enough to stay alive. The fact that it requires us to have a creature out in order to do it is kind of a liability, because creatures are so easy to remove. But there's no cost to it. There's no cost to it. You just have to have a creature out. So if you have a creature out and they can't get rid of either Worship or Avacyn, then they just can't straight kill you unless it's commander damage. And that's pretty cool and definitely worth testing. Oh, don't forget, we've also got Congregate. That's one I can't quite forget. I actually did an Urza draft a couple years back, so I have some of these cards, incidentally. And Congregate is a 4-mana instant that says target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. Guys, do you realize how many games we play where the win condition is someone just overloading the field with a shit ton of creatures? Congregate makes those board states really fun to watch. Okay, so then we also have the Opal Titan, which is actually part of a really cool cycle. It's a 4-mana enchantment that says whenever someone casts a creature spell, someone in this case being an opponent, if an Opal Titan is an enchantment, it becomes a 4/4 giant creature with protection from each of that spell's colors. So, if they cast their commander, Opal Titan automatically gets all of the protections from all that commander's colors, which is really cool. I like, 4 mana 4/4 is whatever, but I like that he has customizable color fixing. That's just a really cool thing. I'm kind of tickled by it. Sarah's liturgy is really cool too. Trying to let there we go. 4 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a verse counter on Sarah's liturgy. Pay white and sack it. Destroy up to X target artifacts and/or enchantments, where X is the number of verse counters on Sarah's liturgy. Kind of something I've been wanting for this deck a little bit in the austere command vein. It's a way to snipe out multiple cards at once without necessarily hurting our board state. This takes a little bit to build up. The first turn you're paying 5 mana to blow up one thing. But if it survives at least 2 turns, I can at least get a 2-for-1 off of it, and then I'm going to call it worth the wait. Then we have Opal Archangel, which is kind of like the Opal Titan. It just becomes a 5/5 angel with flying and vigilance. And a 5/5 for 5 is not bad at all. That's actually, if it gets going, then that's better than a Sarah Angel. Then we've got the Elite Archers. 6 mana, 3/3. Tap, deal 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. 3 damage is a lot of damage. That's actually going to just straight up murder a lot of things that we want to try and swing at. The question just becomes how alive are these going to be by the time someone tries to do that. Catastrophe is a 6 mana sorcery that says destroy all lands or all creatures. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. This one I'm actually fine with running because it helps you catch up when you're really behind. You just need that creature wrath. I'm not a fan of playing Armageddon. I'm really not, because it encourages, the whole play Avacyn, play Armageddon once everyone is, they don't have a board state that they can rebuild quickly with, and then just slowly murder everyone with Avacyn. Or even I have a board presence, let's use Armageddon to just close out the game, because now no one else can do anything while I punch everyone in the face. I'm not quite a fan of that. That's mostly because that's all it ever does. And Armageddon's also just kind of a dead card if you're behind. If someone else has a board state, you're not going to play Armageddon just to spite the game and play Kingmaker. So Catastrophe is kind of that double-edged sword, where we can destroy all the lands, but we're more often than not just going to use it as a 6 mana wrath. And then finally, we've got Sarah Avatar, which I'm disappointed that I can't get the media version, the one that was part of the Duels of the Planeswalkers promo a few years back. It's a 7 mana Star. Why is it Star? Because her power and toughness is each equal to the life total that you have. When Sarah Avatar is put into a graveyard from anywhere, you shuffle it back into its owner's library. Very good combo with Angelic Chorus to just double your life total. Angelic Chorus was one of the ones I wanted to play, but we're not really playing a deck that's going to constantly recur stuff yet. So it's in our toolbox right now, it's in our maybe board, but we're not going to be playing Angelic Chorus anytime soon. We need to get more better cards, or at least some blinking shenanigans to go on with this. And that's the important thing to note, is that we're not going to be playing this Avacyn the same way over this entire course. As more cards and more technology, more themes become available, we may find that, Enchantment Avacyn didn't quite work out the way we wanted to, but Equipment Avacyn is really cool and fun. We'll try. So it'll be a learning process, and that's entirely why I'm doing the alpha build. I want to have the chance to play with Avacyn through the ages and just kind of figure out what kind of deck she wants to be. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some games.